You're listening to The Builder's Mindset with Mike DiGiovanni, presented by Amazing Mindsets. Hey, it's Mike DiGiovanni with The Builder's Mindset. Today, I want to talk about one of the most underrated, margin-leaking, stress-creating parts of your business, your options. I have seen all manner of option programs, and I want to talk about those today. And in a lot of cases, I want to talk about packages or your lack thereof of packages. If your selections feel like a la carte chaos and they look like a menu at a Handel's ice cream or a Baskin Robbins 36 flavors, or the Cheesecake Factory, if every buyer gets some unique snowflake of a home, if your team is constantly asking, wait, what did we sell on this lot? This episode is for you, and mastering option packages is what we're going to dive into today. We're going to walk through a simple framework for mastering option packages based on the Mastering Option Packages for Simplicity, Scale, and Margin playbook. And then I'm going to connect that to how some of the top 100 builders think about options, including D.R. Horton, Lennar, KB, and Meritage. All real strategies, all based on publicly available information, no made-up stories, no fantasy case studies, just real, actionable steps that you can take to streamline your option program that's currently running your business, causing your overhead to go up, and definitely not making you the margins that you think they are. Let's get into it. So let's start by talking about why your option program is quietly running your company. Yes, I said that. It's quietly running your company. Start with the foundation from the workbook. Why do option packages matter so much? Because when you get them right, they do three things at once. They simplify buyer decisions, they reduce cycle times, and they improve job site accuracy and, yes, margin. When you get them wrong, you know exactly what it feels like. No standardized structure. Every home feels customized. Pricing is inconsistent and hard to manage and deliver to buyers. Takeoffs, if you're doing those, get messy. Sales is selling fringe upgrades that break the system because they're always feeling like, well, if I've got these options, what if I had this one? Trades are confused because every job looks different. Mastering option packages for simplicity and scale is what you need. You're not being customer-centric with a Cheesecake Factory menu that people can't understand, like, what they're going to get. It's funny. I was at Cane's this past weekend for my birthday with my kids and their significant others. And Cane's is the only restaurant I've ever been in that has a menu simpler than In-N-Out. And here's what's interesting. Every time we go with my daughter's boyfriend, he always does this. He orders an extra piece of bread. And if you've ever been to Cane's, you know, they have the Bob's thing where it's butter on both sides on the Texas toast. He always orders an extra piece of bread. And what he does is not just that, he'll sub the coleslaw for bread. So that gets him 2 bread. And then he'll order an extra piece of bread. Now, I'll leave out the carb overload that is like in this discussion, but we're sitting there, we get the food and we look, they completely forgot my order. And I said to my son and my daughter and significant others, I said, it seems like every time we come here and we do a custom order, particularly when we do the sub coleslaw for bread, extra bread, they screw up the order. I kid you not. Happens almost every time. Why do I bring that up? Because discipline to the simplicity is what gets the scale and the margin. In that instance, and I walked up and I said, hey, you forgot a Caniac combo. He just walked back over and said, I need a Caniac combo on the fly. And for those of you who've ever worked in the restaurant industry, that means like right away. He didn't have time to, nor did he care to, check the receipt and see if I'd actually even ordered it. I could have been lying to him. And so this happens in home building all the time. So-and-so said they'd do this for me. You swap out a superintendent from one job to the next, and you got an option program that's like a Cheesecake Factory menu, and now all of a sudden, well, so-and-so said, yes, you could do this with this, or we could have that, or we could do this. So you're not being customer-centric. From the workbook's perspective that we shared earlier, a good option program has a few key characteristics. From the Mastering Option Packages for Simplicity and Scale, clear, finite packages that repeat across communities, pre-designed color schemes and product bundles, simple, consistent pricing, don't make different colors price different. Everyone, sales, purchasing, construction, they all speak that same language. Think of it like the automotive trim levels, right? Almost every manufacturer, you go to like Toyota, but most of them have it. They have the L, the LE, and the XLE. And they have a variety of packages, like the technology package, the sound package, the luxury package, the heat pack, whatever, the climate package. There's a finite number of packages, and some of those packages you can't get in some of those levels. So you might not be able to get the climate package in the L, but you can in the XLE, but it's very clearly defined. The buyer picks the experience, and the system behind it is tight. So we clearly define for them what it is they have choices in. That's expectation setting up front, and then they are allowed to pick within the parameters that we've created and allow us to deliver on that expectation. That's the mental model I want you to hold as we look at how big players approach this. We've been talking about this. We've told you we've done it. We've seen it in action. And so keep that in mind as we go forward. How big builders signal their option strategy. We're going to hit 4 builders and focus on what they're actually putting out into the market about options, packages, and included features. Okay, so get ready. Lennar is one of the clearest examples of a packaging narrative. Their long-running everything's included strategy, which yes, there's all kinds of jokes that are made about it, but number 2 home builder in the country by closing volume for years running, they're doing something right. If you go to their official resource center, Lennar describes everything included as a program that bundles the most sought after features into every home. Things like blinds, major appliances, refrigerators and washers and dryers, air conditioning. So buyers get move-in ready homes without tracking every single line item. On specific community pages, they highlight that popular upgrades and modern finishes like quartz countertops in kitchens and baths, upgraded stainless steel appliances, and hard surface flooring in the main living area come standard as a part of the Everything's Included package program at no extra cost. What does this mean strategically for a builder like Lennar and possibly for a builder like you? They've taken a huge chunk out of the traditional design studio chaos and pulled it into the base house. They're not saying no options. You could still personalize certain things, but they're telling buyers you don't have to nickel and dime your way into a normal, livable home. The good stuff is already baked in. This is extreme packaging, pre-curated features, limited complexity, and consistent offering across multiple communities. It might not be for you and your company, but just keep it in mind. It's been done and it's been implemented for quite some time. It supports scale and margin protection because you aren't repricing or reconfiguring the core of the home every time. If you're a smaller builder, you might not be everything's included, but the question is this: what should be included as standard so your options program isn't just a patch for a weak base house? D.R. Horton. Semi-custom via preset options and packages. I should have said semi-personalized, okay? Let's look at Horton. Publicly available descriptions of their approach emphasize preset structural options and upgrade packages rather than wide open customization or even wide open personalization. For example, third-party explanations of D.R. Horton floor plans describe a semi-personalized model where buyers can choose from preset structural options, flex rooms, alternate kitchen and bath layouts, covered patios, extended garages, and then layer on upgrade packages at the design center. Full custom changes are limited. So they limit all of these. I think Beazer does a similar thing with kind of having certain preset structural options that you can do. They also market specific series like Live Modern, where finishes, fixtures, and doors are coordinated around a modern, minimalistic aesthetic. Again, pre-curated look and feel rather than mix and match anything you want. Big difference. It's a really big difference, and it really controls the chaos. In some markets, you'll see references to color packages. This is like Horton, as we talked about in previous episodes. They don't have a centralized, overly strong centralized government like Lennar does. They allow their local divisions to do certain things flexibly. There's guardrails for sure, but they have a lot of autonomy at the division level. So you'll see references to color packages, pre-coordinated paint and finish schemes that are selected as a whole rather than piece by piece. Here's a package. This tile goes with this counter, goes with this flooring, goes with this paint. So strategically, this is telling us that Horton is using option structure to create semi-personalized flexibility inside their controlled system. Instead of infinite variety, they're offering some bundled choices. You pick from a menu of approved structural and finish combinations built to work operationally. It's stackable, modular options, structural plus finish, designed to avoid if this, then that, if this, then not that. It avoids this chaos in purchasing and in the field and streamlines the process. It allows them to balance buyer personalization with repeatability and cost control. KB Homes, personalization via the design studio. KB Homes leans harder into the personalization story, but they're still doing it in a structured way. They have set standard cabinet offerings that if you're going to bid cabinets for KB in a market, you have to be able to match what they already have set up in their design center. So they're not reinventing the design center every community or at every division. If you look at their design studio content, they position it as the place where your vision comes to life. You choose fixtures, flooring, tile, lighting, and more. And a KB design consultant walks you through these decisions. They highlight a wide range of categories: flooring, lighting, and tile. And they have partnerships with national brands like Whirlpool, Kohler, Moen, Shaw Floors, Sherwin-Williams, Dow Tile, and others, which sets clear boundaries around the catalog so it can't still be everything. So strategically, KB Homes intersects with option packaging by saying that they say this: we're going to give you a lot of design freedom, but we're going to do it inside a curated ecosystem of products, vendors, and price structures. Okay, controlling that chaos. From an option program standout, they still need finite selections and SKU control and clear pricing tiers. Behind the scenes, or the design studio would be unmanageable. The workbook would ask, are those choices grouped into smart, stackable packages, or is the system still too a little a la carte? For a mid-sized builder, the KB Home model is a good reminder. You can differentiate on personalization as long as you build constraint and structure behind the curtain. All right, Now, let's finish up and talk about Meritage. Design collections and built-in performance. Meritage gives us a powerful example of design packaging plus spec standardization. In 2020, Meritage announced Design Collections, a curated system of streamlined design options through their Studio M design centers. These design collections group flooring, cabinets, counters, and other finishes into coordinated, easy-to-choose packages with more transparent pricing. They do a very similar model with their Live Now philosophy. Live Now was very similar, but it was more of an entry-level product with lower costed packages, and everything was pre-selected. If I'm watching and understanding it correctly, what they're doing today, though, is now Meritage has taken that higher level studio package. They've eliminated the design studios in most instances, and now they're picking those packages because they're going to a full spec strategy. And so they can still get a higher level of finish and a little bit more complex package that has more things like faucets and whatnot, but still controls the SKU count and the choices. And actually, because now they're for the most part fully moving to not selling homes until drywall and doing that 60-day close guarantee, they're pre-selecting every choice. So it's as close as you can get to Live Now's everything, or Lennar's everything included, but not quite. So at the same time, Meritage, their broader story leans heavily into energy efficiency and performance as standard, not just an upgrade. Homes designed to meet Energy Star standards, third-party rated energy performance. Features like high-efficiency HVAC, energy-efficient windows, spray foam insulation throughout, and sealed ducts baked into the core product, not buried as a line item options. So they're pulling all this together and say, we build a very energy efficient home and the included cost. You don't have to pay for this stuff. And then we've got curated packages that we're going to pre-select. You want a certain floor plan with a certain package? Well, the energy efficiency comes. You want that color package? It's available on this lot, but not this lot and this lot. Really, strategically, what does this mean? They're using design collections to simplify and package the visible design choices for the buyer so that they know what's going in that home. So even when they sell a home that's at drywall and they do a 60-day guarantee, they can still very easily show what's going into that home, even if it hasn't been installed, like the cabinets haven't been installed yet. So design curated packages, limited to no changes after start, and buyers can look and see what's going to be in that home. They're also using standard spec excellence, especially with the energy efficiency side of things, as a differentiated base, not a confusing menu of upgrades. So really about as close to Lennar as you can get. And through the workbook lens, they're hitting several key principles. Curated packages that reduce buyer fatigue, fewer and better choices that protect margin and reduce mistakes, and a clear story. We're the energy efficient builder, and we've already made the smart choices for you. Connecting the big builder strategies to your workbook framework. Okay, now let's bring this back to you, our mid-size and smaller builders. The workbook gives you simple 3-step structure for designing an option program that actually scales. Define the package strategy, build smart stackable packages, and streamline for the field and the customer. Let's overlay that with what we just saw from the big builders onto each step. Step 1, design the package strategy. Do you have a clear, standardized options and spec selection process? Are your offerings defined, finite, and scalable? Are you customizing every home, or is there a design set of packages? Lennar's an everything's included builder. Lennar says they offer preset structural options and upgrade packages within a semi-personalized framework. KB says we personalize through the design studio with a curated product ecosystem. Meritage says we differentiate on energy efficiency and curated design collections. The strategy is performance and simplified design. So your move. Pick your headline. Is everything essential included? Are we going semi-personalized without the chaos? Are we design forward and operationally tight? Or is it performance first, design collection simple? You don't need their scale to borrow that level of clarity. Step 2, build smart, stackable packages. The workbook pushes you toward modular packages that can stack without conflicting, avoiding if this, then that, or if this, then not that. Getting rid of that mutual exclusivity. That complexity is removed if you stay disciplined. It suggests aligning packages with your target market, using analogies like Camry versus Corolla versus Lexus, and bundling categories like cabinets, counters, flooring, paint, fixtures, and appliances into coherent groups. Lennar's model, their everything's included model behaves like an ultimate package tier. You're not buying a stripped down base and adding life back into it. You're getting a fully loaded trim level from day one. D.R. Horton uses a preset of structural plus upgrade packages. It's a stackable system, structural plus finish plus maybe series level themes like Live Modern. Meritage Design Collections are literally curated sets of finishes offered as package choices, not an endless a la carte menu. A builder, the workbook will help you understand in its case study that a builder that has over 40 design combinations per home confuses buyers, overwhelms trades, and has inconsistent costs and thereby margins. They reduce that to 6 curated designer packages, simplified pricing to a flat rate per package, trained sales and construction to sell and build those packages consistently, and lowered operational stress, improved cycle time significantly, and gained about $3,000 more dollars of option margin per home. Yep, true that. It's not theory. That's your workbook's real example. Ask yourself, if I have 40 plus combinations today, what would my workbook look like with 6? What could I bundle? Cabinets, counters, flooring, paint, fixtures, appliances into 3 to 6 tiered packages that we can replicate anywhere and everywhere. Step 3, streamline for the field and the customer. When I say the field, I mean construction and sales. The workbook is clear. It tells you job site teams need to understand each and every package. Packages need to stay consistent by lot, by community, and by company. Sales must be trained on the logic behind packages as well as the details of the packages. Customers need fewer curated choices and flat, simple pricing. That reduces stress and improves conversion. I promise you it will. We've got to get rid of the old sales mentality that I need another option to sell a home. Designed to the normal market, not to the crazy good market, not to the crazy bad market, and be disciplined and stick with it, and it will help you sell more homes. Lennar makes the customer story simple. Most of what you want is already included. That's a great stress reducer and a conversion booster. Just think how people feel like, oh, that's all included already? Yep. So what you go to another builder and spend another $20,000, $25,000, Lennar includes. Horton reduces chaos on the job site by using preset options and series that trades can learn and repeat. Don't forget about your trades. Your trades have to navigate these programs too. KB mitigates the risk of too many choices by painting buyers with a design consultant inside a constrained vendor set and SKU set. And Meritage cuts through the selection fatigue with design center collections and a clear performance-driven base spec. And now they're moving to the next level where they're picking all the packages ahead of time. All of them in different ways are doing what the workbook teaches. Fewer, smarter, more curated paths that keep options and operations sane and margins protected. Let's land this plane with some guided reflections you can literally take back to your team or your next leadership meeting. Grab a notebook, pull up the option workbook if you got it, and work through these questions from the package clarity section. Do you have a defined set of packages, or are you effectively customizing every home or every community? Can your sales and field teams clearly describe each package without calling someone else for help? Are your option margins consistent and protected, or are they random, deal-by-deal outcomes? How many options do your buyers truly need to feel good about their home buying journey and about their home purchase? Finally, where can you reduce, consolidate, or eliminate complexity in the next 90 days? We can help you with that. Reach out, please. So look, you have some choices between Lennar Style, everything's included, Horton's semi-personalized model, KB's design center with limits, or Meritage's basically multiple packages, but you pick what goes where, so you have that variety inherent in the system. Remember some of the key takeaways the workbook finishes with. Start simple. You can always add later. It's hard to take away. Curated packages drive sales. They reduce errors and they protect margins, and they make the buying experience for the home buyer easier to understand. Stackable, modular options prevent confusion. Fewer choices lead to faster sales and happier teams and happier home buyers. A well-run options program increases efficiency, buyer satisfaction, and profitability. It does. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. That's what we're after. So listen, here's the Builder's Mindset Challenge for you listeners today. Identify one community of your or product line where you'll pilot a simplified, package-driven option program in the next 90 days. Take your current combinations, cut them down, maybe not 40 to 6 in one swing, but move intentionally toward finite, repeatable packages and borrow from the top 100 builders playlist. A little bit of Lennar's Everything's Included, a little bit of Horton's preset structure, a little bit of KB's guided personalization, and a little bit of Meritage's performance-driven base spec. Then translate all of that through your brand, your buyer, and your operational reality. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about cabinets and countertops. It's about building a business that is simple to run, easy to scale, and more profitable per home for you, your team, and your trade partners. This is the Builder's Mindset. I'm Mike DiGiovanni. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of the Builder's Mindset. Have an amazing day. You're listening to The Builder's Mindset with Mike DiGiovanni, presented by Amazing Mindsets.